Hey, it's Cosmic Charles, and we're back with another popper video. So I really want to do this one live, but unfortunately, I've been having some technical difficulties, and I've been pretty much forced to record my audio separately from my video in order to have any decent quality whatsoever. The other stuff just sounded like sand in a tin can. It was just so bad. So that's why we're doing it pre-recorded today. I had tried to do the audio. I tried recording the audio separately from the video, but when I was recording on the audio crashed partway through the league. And had I stopped the video there and then come back and combined it again, it would have been fine. But that's not what I did. So syncing it, I tried to sync it after the fact, but it just didn't pan out for me. Like, it was just way too difficult to get it to work. There's too much drift. So we're having to do it through the replays today, unfortunately. Yeah, so this is Turbo Initiative. Really fun deck. It's somewhat competitive. I put it as a solid 3-2 deck. And I've made some changes that seem to have really panned out. So I'm running 4 main deck Breath Weapon now. There's just too many decks where it's necessary, so it really helps having this in the main. I've cut my Jewel Thieves entirely. That's because Writhing Chrysalis has really just replaced it, and they're not really all that powerful enough on their own. I was really just using them to be fixing. I've gone down to 2 Malevolent Rumble, because Malevolent Rumble is really only there to help with consistency, and I'd much rather be able to go over the top with 4 Kick in the Door and 4 Ephemerate. You could build this deck differently, where you add in more controlling cards to protect the initiative, and then also run the Monarchy. And that is a more consistent build, but it just seemed to be too fair to me when I was playing it before. So I decided to go back to the Kick in the Door Ephemerate package, and then just have a little bit of interaction in the main in the form of Breath Weapon, which is also really good for preventing board stalls, because Avenging Hunter is a dragon, so you can get through for some crazy trample stuff. Yeah, so what's this deck trying to do? Turn 2, turn 3, if you're lucky, turn 1, get the initiative, kick it, have Ephemerate just to get a turbo through the dungeon. Post-board, we have 4 Lightning Bolt for Glee. That can also come in when Breath Weapon's not very good. You have 4 Cast to the Fire, mostly for affinity, but you can also bring it in against Burn. 4 Power Blast, 1 Red Elemental Blast, and 2 Flaring Pain. So, I would rather this be 3, but I really just can't fit it in. And there's other ways you can play around Prismatic Strands, simply by making them use it early during combat step, or by having 2 Breath Weapons. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for the deck tech, so let's go on to the Game 1. So Game 1 was against KPHO. Let's check out my opening hand. So this hand is keepable. I'll be going for a turn 2 Malevolent Rumble. And our opponent plays a Hickory. I play Hickory Woodlot, because now that means I can save this BTE if I need it, and they are on Glee. So I'll just go Malevolent BTE here to get myself a blocker, and I'll grab that Avenging Hunter with my initiative. Sorry, not with my initiative, with my Malevolent Rumble, milling over an Ephemerate and a Sandstone Needle and a Manamorphose. That's fine. We have the Avenging Hunter for next turn. Our opponent goes Basking Broodskill, Adapt 1, making it a 3-3. If they have the Glee, I would probably just concede, but they don't have it. So instead, I just go Lotus Petal, and I'm going to go Avenging Hunter. I had considered Seething Song, but it just didn't do anything, because I can still leave the Ephemerate up with this Lotus Petal and grab the Plains to ensure that I can cast my Goliath Paladin next turn. I'll get in for 2, because again, I can always block and flicker with the Avenging Hunter. I don't think I would concede now to a Glee. I'd make them have it, because there are things you can do to push through damage. So they just leave everything untapped. I go Forge onto my Hunter. I have Ephemerate up for protection, but this deck typically doesn't even have removal in the main deck. And I get in for 7. Just making sure I'm recording. And now I'll go Goliath Paladin, get into trap, and then trap them. I could Ephemerate on the end step, which I likely will do because I don't think they have removal. It's not going to get me into Throne of the Dead 3 right away. Normally in this situation, I would wait until it got me into Throne 1 turn earlier so I could get the thing without Summoning Sickness. Although I guess it doesn't really matter if it's on the end step or not. It just means you get to swing in with the Goliath Paladin, which isn't really relevant in this situation. So I should go for Ephemerate on the end step here, which is what I do. Which is what I did. There we go. Come on, Ephemerate. Having a little bit of issues with the recording here. Okay, I guess I'll just do this. And there's my Ephemerate. Get into Archive, and I draw Manamorphose. And here I'll do the initiative first. You should usually do the Ephemerate first, but it doesn't really matter. There's Avenging Hunter coming down, and I grab a mountain. The only reason to do it this way is if you want to flicker the hexproof creature in response to something, but I don't know when you would ever want to do that. I put the Forge in my Avenging Hunter to make it a 9/8, and I dig for a Kick in the Door, because that would just kill them here. We got another shot looking for Kick in the Door. And just lands. So I'll get in for with a 9/8. They go down to... And here they would have to double block if they wanted to stay alive. Oh, and of note, when I was doing this live, I was just commenting, but what I would have done is I would have goaded the Basking Brood Scale had I been really thinking in order to kill it previously. I didn't, and it actually panned out for me, so I made I think was the wrong choice, but got there anyway, never punished. Alright, so that was game 1 against Broodscale. Let's check out game 2 now. Alright, this... Okay, game history... Where are we? Yeah, I've been losing a lot lately on MTGO with my wild brews, so my rating's not very high anymore, unfortunately. But where are we? There's Kreppenho. Ah, King Diamond. Here we go. Now, you will get to see the results beforehand, but of the matches this way, but that's okay. Alright, so here we go now. King Diamond. Let's... Oh, no, that wasn't right. We are in game 2 against Kreppenho. Sorry. Details. Kreppenho. Replay game 2. There we go, and I'll press play here. So, can't keep that hand. I can keep this hand because it has an Avenging Hunter. You really need to keep a hand that either has a Malevolent Rumble or an Avenging Hunter in it. They go Cleansing Wildfire, my Hickory Woodlot, rude. That puts me off of... Okay, so that Seething Song still means that I have turn 3 Avenging Hunter. They go Duress. They take my Seething Song, but I am still going to get the Avenging Hunter down on turn 3 now with a Kick in the Door. So I guess we're hoping to draw a Snuff Out, or they already have Snuff Out in hand. Now you could play around Snuff Out here, but it would only play around Snuff Out for 1 turn, because you'd be forced to get the Mountain if you want to use Kick in the Door. You could also just not get Kick. But they looked like they didn't have it because they let me search out my planes. So a little lucky there that they didn't have the Snuff Out, and I just got in for 12. They're dead next turn, and that was match 1. Alright, so we won match 1. That was pretty nice against Glee Combo. They just didn't see the combo, and we got there fast. Which is nice, because you can kind of just put their back to the wall pretty quickly here. Alright. And that was match 1. Moving on to match 2. Check out game 1. Okay, game 1 against King Diamond. Now, this player was on UB Fae, which is one of my worst matchups. So I mulligan this way in order to give myself an out to... getting a land in order to play my creature, but it's not looking very good. I draw Manamorphose, and they go Brainstorm. And they go Lorien Revealed, and they go something. Now here, there's a Malevolent Rumble, and they Counterspell. That Mountain was a pretty good draw. I'm only 1 mana away now from getting something down. They go Modern Age, which is pretty bad for me, because this means this is UB Fae. I'm much better against the regular UB deck. It's not like the Terror deck. It's the Sneaky Snacker one is the worst. So I do have the mana now, but now they have Sneaky Snacker on the table. 5 cards in hand, and they've drawn a lot, so I'm just assuming that they have counterspell and stuff up, and probably just tons of removal. So here I was debating just conceding, and I did. I didn't want to reveal what I had. I don't know if that was right, though, because I only had 3 cards in hand. If only one was a counterspell, and the rest were blanks, and they drew another blank, I may have been able to get there. So I think that was a little premature on my part. And now we move on to game 2. Game 2. I forgot to show my sideboard for the previous game. That was pretty straightforward. That was just 4 Breath Weapon out for 4 Lightning Bolt. Now for this one, because it's UB Fey, I took out all my kicks, took out all my Breath Weapons, because it's a little clunky, and they don't actually run that many 1/1s. And I just brought in 3 Lightning Bolt and 5 of the Pyroblasts. You could bring in Cast into the Fire instead of the Bolt. I just like the fact that Bolt costs 1 mana. Alright. Making sure I'm still recording. Yes, I am. So I had to mulligan that one. This one has an early Avenging Hunter. I play out both my Lotus Petals first to play around a Spell Pierce. Here, though, that looks like that may have been a mistake, because now they're really pricing to Spell Piercing this Lotus Petal. But, I mean, they would have Spell Pierced it anyway. I do pay for the Spell Pierce here. I debated for a long time about that, and I still don't know if that was quite right or not. But, I now need a Pyroblast, 1 of my 5, in order to play through their counter, because I just can't go Avenging Hunter, get it countered. So I'm just on a holding pattern here. The window seems to be perhaps fading. It seems to be fading pretty quickly. I shouldn't concede, though. That's my 4th Lotus Petal. I'm just going to hold that in hand. Now I really wish I hadn't tapped that Sandstone Needle. And there's a Sneaky Snacker, and they get him for 2. So it's kind of like a similar situation as last game. And this is the problem against... okay, so now we have a Hydroblast. Maybe I can do something. So they Hydroblast my BTE, which is great. So now I can go Avenging Hunter. They Counterspell. Now I can resolve the Avenging Hunter by Pyroblasting their Hydro. And I will get a... Plains or Mountain here would be fine. I get the Plains. You could get a Mountain because you really just want to have access to Pyro or Hydro. Sorry, Pyro or Red Elemental Blast. But I don't think it's worth losing the Lotus Petal. That might not be right, though. They go Brainstorm, and what do? They get him for 2. Getting kind of punished for that pay 2 on the Lotus Petal, though. I'd much rather have a Sandstone Needle than a Lotus Petal right now. And there's my green. I'll swing in for 5. They take it. So they must have blanks in hand, or maybe a lot of Hydros. So that is fortunate for me. I'll just Forge onto this creature, because I don't have much time. Oh, that's actually not why. I did the math, and I realized that they would have enough blockers to stonewall me if I hadn't Forged. I was forced to go into Forge there. And they go Modern Age, because they could have left back more than, or like 5, or like, they could have left back like 6 defense after taking the initiative. So instead they just take the initiative. They go into Lost Well, because forging onto their Vector Glider wouldn't do very much. And now I drew a 2nd Ephemerate, which is huge. So now I'm like, they only have 2 cards in hand. I have 2 Ephemerates now, and they're at 8 they're about to get down to 3, which means I'm very close to just being able to trap them to death, because this is 4 journeys through the dungeon. And they draw a card, discard a card, draw a card, then discard a card. And they go 2 for an Augur or Bolas, and they miss on this Augur or Bolas, fortunately. And then they get in for 2. They take the initiative. They get to go into Stash. They only have 2 cards in hand. They have enough now to stonewall my Avenging Hunter, so I'm actually priced into ephemerating it. And luckily they tapped out for a Thorn of the Black Rose, and they don't have Snuff Out. So they still don't have Snuff Out, so I am going to ephemerate it again. And this BTE gives me red mana. So it's a double ephemerate. I get to go into Throne of the Dead 3. I get to grab myself an Avenging Hunter, which is an 8/7 Trampler. And they are just dead if they don't have... Actually, they can't even Snuff Out now. That's right, they're at 3. So there was... so that was like a really good for me that they tapped out for that Thorn. And now I have 3 dungeon triggers, so they are dead. Because I will just go into the trap. I also have a 10/9 Trample, but I don't think... But the combat damage wasn't going to be relevant here. Alright, and that was match 2. So now for game 3 of match 2. Game 3. Alright, I kept my sideboarding the same. So I can't keep this hand. This hand I will keep because it is slightly closer. And I just put the lightning bolt to the bottom there. So this is a turn 2 Avenging Hunter if they tap out, but like they've shown me Spell Pierce and Hydroblast. I can't go through that 1 mana, but that may have just been our window. I mean, maybe I should have just jammed. But they do tap out. Oh, no, they're not tapping out. That was on my end step. They go Sneaky Snacker. I'm going to have to discard, so I'll just discard this Ephemerate. I could have just cast the Bolt, but I'm trying to hold on to it for some reason. And there's a Spell Sorter Sprite, so I would like to Bolt that. And unfortunately, I just don't have the ability to play through all of their counter. Maybe I could have got there. They had the Spell Pierce. So I do have a Pyroblast, but it's looking pretty bleak. I don't have any Field Wipe because I didn't, because I took out my Breath Weapons. And it looks like they brought in their Spell Sorter Sprites, or they just didn't see it the other games. So that is an argument for leaving in. No, I still like Lightning Bolt because it's usually the first 2 turns that matter the most, and they're not going to have multiple out. The reason why the Spell Sorter Sprite's like really good here is because it took me too long to get something down. So I still think it's right not to bring in the Breath Weapons, although obviously Breath Weapon would be like good here if it resolved. I am losing this one. In fact, I was dead last turn if they just flashed in a Spell Sorter Sprite, but they didn't know that. Alright, so I concede because I am dead on the board, and we are now 1-1. On to match 3. Match 3 against Pavelval. Pavelval? Is that what it was? Let's see. Pavelval, something like that. And let's check out my hand. So I kept this one because it had 4 Chrysalis, and I just wanted to see what would happen. I don't have any green mana, but I have a lot of fixing for green in the deck. So I wasn't too concerned about that. I have at least 12, and there's one of them, the BTE, that are 13 that are untapped, 4 that are tapped, so like 17 fixing for green in total. And unfortunately, I can go for a Writhing Chrysalis here. And let's see if they have the counter, like, pay 2 spell. They don't have the Lose Focus, so I'll just play the Sandstone Needle and pass back. I am just going to jam, regardless whether or not they have the counter magic. Because it's not getting any better. This is the time for me to go for it. And that Breath Weapon's not looking very good here. But I do have a lot of board space. So here's a Goliath Paladin. They brainstorm digging for an Exclude, I suppose. And then I go Goliath Paladin. And I grab myself a Forest, and I play the Forest. And now I can also cast another Writhing Chrysalis. And they concede to that. What turn was that, I wonder? Was that turn... It's probably turn 4, I think. Let's see. Yeah, turn 4. Pretty good turn 4. Alright. On to... Although it would have been better on a turn 3, but that's pretty rare. Okay. On to game 2. Okay, game 2. Let's check out my sideboarding. So I took out all 4 of my Breath Weapons and 1 Kick in the Door because I value Ephemerate more, and I just brought in 4 Power Blasts and 1 Red Blast. For protection. And let's check this out. I guess I should... Yeah, that is not keepable. This is almost keepable, and it's a turn 3 Chrysalis, so I will keep it. They go Silver Bluff Bridge. I had to get rid of that Kick in the Door, though. Because I'd rather have the 2 Hunters. Although there is an argument for putting back a Hunter, because you're unlikely to be able to cast it. Particularly now, since I've drawn a second Writhing Chrysalis. But there's a Hickory Woodlot, which makes it more likely. They just go Hydro. That's fine. And now they go Cleansing Wildfire, notably tapping out. So that means I'm going to get to resolve this Avenging Hunter. So here comes the Avenging Hunter. I suppose I could have gone Chrysalis into Avenging Hunter there. Yeah, I could have gone Chrysalis into Avenging Hunter. I didn't because I guess I didn't see it. And now they go... Oh no, I put a Goliath Paladin to the bottom, that's right. And I'll go Forge onto my Hunter. Swing in for 7. Fortunately, it's actually going to pan out that I held back the Chrysalis, and maybe this is what I was thinking, because I really wanted them to counterspell this so I could resolve another initiative creature. So maybe that's why I did it. That is a pretty good possibility. Okay, and that was game 2 and the match for game 3. So we are now 2-1. Alright, so that was Pavelval. Now Viktor Vektor. Okay. Replay game 1. Come on. Viktor Vektor. Okay, can't keep that. I can keep this. This is a turn 2 Goliath Paladin. Alright. I can also do turn 2 Writhing Chrysalis. Wow, my mouth is getting dry. Writhing Chrysalis, but probably I want to wait. So they do have the island there. I'm just going to go for it. I don't think I have to play into the spell pierce. It only gets worse. So I can go Goliath Paladin, I can grab the Forest, and I can kick the Paladin. So a pretty good turn 2. They go Brine Bearer Intruder. So if there's any deck that could deal with this, Snap would be... Any card that could deal with this, Snap would be a very good card for them. And I'm getting the Forest, right? Not the... yeah, get the Forest. Use my remaining red mana to give it haste. I bottom both of those cards, because it's just more mana, and what I want now is, I guess, Breath Weapon. And I go into Stash. And there's an Ephemerate, so now I'm pretty safe from a Snap, so that makes me happy. And this Writhing Chrysalis will even mean I'm protected from Snap with Spell Pierce backup. And they just concede to the Writhing Chrysalis. So we took one game against Mono Blue, Fae, and that's about a 50-50 matchup for me. You do need to be, like, drawing well, though. You can't really be, if you have, a medium hand, you're not going to be able to beat them, because they're how well designed they are for you. So this is a really solid hand. Let's see how we do. The second Power Blast is welcome. I would like another Depletion land here. And they get in for 1. Another Depletion land, Breath Weapon, both of those would be really good draws here. So that's a BTE. I think I should have gone for the BTE that turn. And then tried to resolve a Malevolent Rumble. I think that's what I should have done. I don't know why I didn't. That wasn't the right... Yeah, so I should have done that there. Now I go for the BTE here to try and cast this Writhing Chrysalis. That's why I held it. They go Counterspell, and I should have just let that go. Because if they have anything, then I counter back. I just used up so much my hand, and I can't really do anything for it. Yes, I can cast this Malevolent Rumble now. Grab a Mountain. That doesn't really help me, because they can just untap, and I don't have any, Pyro protection. And if I go block here, now they just Brine Barrow. And it's the worst of all the words, of all opportunities. I do manage to draw Writhing. They do tap out, so maybe we can get there. I'll go BTE into Writhing Chrysalis, and I should now be able to cast a Goliath Paladin. So maybe this worked out. We'll see. I wish I had my Pyro still. Maybe it's better just to let that go. And I play a Forest. Now the problem is, they might have Snap. They have Bind the Monster. Okay, so that's unfortunate. They get in for 1 and they take the Monarchy. Now I will be able to swing in so far and make them block twice. But they have a Snare Master Sprite, which is also pretty good. They can tap down my Goliath Paladin now. I will make them trade off one of their creatures, though. And right now what I need is mana into Breath Weapon. and I destroy my Bind the Monster because that's giving me back a Writhing Chrysalis. Even though it's tapped this turn, it's still better than killing anything they had. If they didn't have a Snare Master Sprite, and I might have considered powering one of their creatures just to get the initiative back. Here, they'll probably double chump. They double chump. And they go Lost Well into Goad, which is already going to attack. That Goad, they're probably just going into the... they just probably just want to draw another card, but it makes you feel like they have a way of dealing with the Chrysalis, which is just like game over if they snap this back, I think. I swing in with both. They go Snap. What they really should have done, unless they had a Spell Starter Sprite already. Okay, so they probably also have a Spell Starter Sprite here. Okay, well, they didn't sprite that, so maybe they didn't. Maybe they just didn't do the right play. And now they go Archive. Draw another card, trying to dig for that snap. For another snap. And I have the Cast Into the Fire, which I'm kind of just pricing it, like casting and hoping. And they Hydro. I go in for a 3/6, and they chump. Oh yes, I guess I should check out my sideboard here. They venture into the throne. They get a giant Snare Master Sprite, which taps down my creature, and I concede here. I didn't have to concede. Maybe I would have gotten there, but yeah, I guess I didn't have to concede there. A little early. I took out my kicks and my ephemerates just for like a lot of protection, like a lot of removal, which I think is right. Again, Mono U, difficult matchup. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad matchup, but you do need to like play it. You do need to draw well and play well, so it's bad in that way, but my record with it seems to be about a 50-50, I'd say. So on to match 4. We are currently, I believe... Wait, that was match... match 5, yeah. We are currently 2-2, so let's see if we can get the 3-2 here, get our play points back. So I'll keep this. This is a turn 3 Avenging Hunter right now. I will probably lead on the Chrysalis, though, just to give myself some protection. I mean, it's going to be a turn 1, whatever. So that Simian Spirit Guide allowed me to play this remote farm, which allows me to sacrifice both my Eldrazi spawns while still being able to block. It does mean I can't kick my Avenging Hunter, though. And they use all their removal. I draw the Simian Spirit Guide, which is huge, because now I can kick my Avenging Hunter. So I will grab Plains, kick my Avenging Hunter, move into Forge, swing with an 8/7 haste, and now they need to leave back 2 toughness in order to survive. They decide they don't really want to continue to play. I mean, it was looking pretty grim for them, so it's understandable why they would concede. So now we're moving on to post-board games against Burn. Game 2. Come on. Alright, let me view the sideboard here. So for Burn, what I did, I took out my Ephemerates because it's too slow, I think. It is good for protection, but they can always... But if you have Ephemerate, they can just choose to go for your face instead, and then it's not very good. Unless you're able to, like, get a Skeleton faster, a Throne of the Dead 3 a turn faster, or a Trap a turn faster. And those ways will be, like, more relevant. In terms of the damage race. Yeah, and I brought in my Cast Into the Fires, because that's been, like, pretty good lately. Alright, I guess I'll just click through this one. So that's a good hand. This is almost a turn to Avenging Hunter, and it has a Breath Weapon in it. So I'll keep it. Our opponent goes Mountain into Epicure. I'll play Needle, and I think I'm going to just click through here because the playback seems to have really sped up. So this Simian Spirit Guide means I can Breath Weapon on their turn and then resolve this Avenging Hunter. Kicked, actually, because I have the Seething Song. So it looks like we won because this is absolute brutality here. All right, and they get in for this is why it's all worth playing, because you can get these hands or just with your powerful sideboard cards that are just completely brutal for certain strategies. So now I'm gonna go Seething Song. green for the Avenging Hunter. I'm going to grab a mountain. I mean, they're going to concede here. There's no reason to... yeah, and then I go kicked Avenging Hunter, and they concede. All right, so that was the league. We went 3-2, and that's generally how this deck performs on average. You'll win like 3 out of 2. 3 out of 2. It depends. Sometimes you go higher than that. Sometimes you go lower than that. So I think averaged out it would be a 3-2. Yeah. So if you're looking for a nice, fun initiative league and you know how to play the deck well, because you do need to play the deck well, it's very easy to lose to this deck. To lose with this deck, especially with the mulligan and the keeping. I recommend trying it out. Next league, I'm going to try and do a live league. I might try and do a different deck than this one, although out of all the, like my brewing and tinkering, the only one that really seems to be, like, competitive in this meta is the initiative deck. My my Ruby Storm deck has just... Well, I mean, I have been trying and tinkering with it. I'm trying something else now, so maybe I'll do another Ruby League. Only problem with that is I can't really do it live, and I really wanted to do a live league. Trying this new audio recording strategy. So anyway, we'll see what I do. I also have a crazy Affinity build I've been wanting to broadcast, but it's not very competitive. I don't know. I am on Christmas break. I might have time to do another one, but I'm also gonna be busy, even though. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Hope you enjoyed, and see you around.